Hi, my name is Ashok Palaniappan, and today I'm here to demonstrate a scientific communication tool as well as a learner empowerment tool called as Prism, the Universal Science Translator. How do we take any concept to any audience? How do we teach back to a person on the street? How do we explain the concept to a grant committee? And how do we explain the same to an executive board? Or how do you even explain the concept to your grandmother? So, all these are changes in the audience, and we'll have to change the way in which the concept could be described or explained for an understanding. So, Prism tries to automate this process with AI. So this is how it works. So this way it steps in and it solves this problem, and I'll just show you some features of Prism now. So it takes a STEM concept like science, technology, engineering, and medicine, any concept there, any idea, like let's say mRNA vaccines, and it gives the option to select the target audience, and we have a whole range of target audiences who are categorized as academic, professional, education, and general. So in academic, we have research peers, senior colleagues or grant committees. In professional, we have executives or non-technical professional, even a science journalist or a communicator. And in education, we have the grad students or high school students, online or MOOC learner, and a distance education student as well. Now, in general, we have a general public or a elder or a young child. So the style of delivery of the concept is also described here along with these audience classes. Like for a grandparent, it has to be elementary, but for a child, it has to be playful, and for general public, it has to be in plain language. Similarly, the education has to be like intermediate or foundational, accessible to MOOC learners, and structured for distance education. And here for research peers, it has to be expert level, senior colleague, advanced. So things like that. For professional with science journalist, it has to be a narrative or jargon free for non-technical, and for executive presentations, it has to be strategic. So let's just like say general public, and let's see how this concept could be described and what sort of resources are returned by Prism. If we wish, we could add some additional context here, and we can say focus on, let's say, medical applications for the mRNA vaccines, and let's say explain this for the general public, which has been selected. So we can select one at a time, and we can also compare audiences, that is two at a time, and we'll do a demo of that as well. So for a general person on the street or the general public, in plain language, what is the core idea of mRNA vaccines, and then understanding it. What is the key analogy that will help us understand, like a instruction manual analogy for the mRNA vaccine, receiving temporary instructions, but not the furniture itself, and which shows how to make one specific shelf that's happens to match a part of some other toolkit. All right, so there is a real world significance to this, and these are the medical applications of mRNA vaccines for pandemic response, cancers or rare diseases, and other infectious diseases. So that is a a focus on the applications, which can then like give way to the bigger picture where it is used in personalized medicine and basic scientific research as well as biotech manufacturing. So what is the takeaway? There is a summary of that in the context of mRNA vaccines. So there are also some additional enrichments that are provided, a concept map for the mRNA vaccines, cellular protein production, and then immune recognition, antibody production, immune assay. And so if you just move and hover over this, it will tell you some more information about what the elements of the concept map are. Now here in videos, it gives some links to videos that we can follow for more information on the topic tailored to the audience we have chosen. So that's YouTube and some TED Talk and something on Khan Academy. And if you would like to see some simulations, and then it gives a educational sites that hold some vaccine journey or a immune system simulator, and then it also provides some common misconceptions with the mRNA vaccines. So what are some key terms with these? What are some additional readings we can do from the literature? And then some figures that are found with mRNA vaccines, and finally a question to leave us pondering. All right, so that's the whole take on any concept, right? So there's the initial full narrative about the concept, what is the core idea, understanding it, and key analogy, real world significance, and the bigger picture, and finally the takeaway. And then we have some additional resources to further pursue the particular topic. Now let's do another example and let's try to compare audiences here. So let's say principal components analysis, which is used in machine learning and a lot of other data analysis. And let's say we want to do this for some category in the general public, let's say a grandparent, and let's say we also want to do this for a executive professional or a science journalist, let's say executive. So first we will choose the executive, and then we'll say compare audiences. Let's take out this additional context which is irrelevant here, and apart from the executive we would like to see the concept explained for a grandparent as well. So let's just choose this. So that will be elementary, and let's say explain this. So first it generates for the executive audience, and there's a core idea. So in terms of the business value and the organization, the analogies are provided. So PCA provides the optimal viewing angles. So it is conveyed in this language here, and the significance is again provided in the context of what the executive audience would be familiar with, like portfolio, risk management, customer segmentation, operational excellence, and all that. So finally some strategic decision clarity. So really tailored for the audience that we have chosen. And there is some bigger picture, again like in the context of the executive audience, decision theory, systems thinking, and how does it impact all these different areas. So there's a takeaway from that, again with the consultant deck and things like that, performance indicators. So a nice perspective on PCA for an executive audience. Now let's just wait for the additional resources that it's going to generate here. Meanwhile, it may have something for the grandparent too. And you see the core idea here. It's just a mathematical technique, finds the most important patterns and complicated information by figuring out which directions show the biggest differences. I mean, in very plain language, what does it really mean? And now, understanding it, imagine you're looking through old family photos, trying to organize them, who's in it, where it was taken, which year, occasion, season, what people are wearing, and so on. So how do you capture the most important differences between them? So this is a very nice way to generate an example that clarifies the core ideas in principal competence analysis. So we can say that just first 2 or 3 of these patterns will capture most of what's interesting. So they have dozens of details, but just knowing which decade and which family branch tells you what you need to know to organize them meaningfully, right? So we have found the directions that hold the most meaning, and these are our principal components. So again, in the analogy, a recipe book analogy. So these are really nice ways to explain this concept to the target audience that we have chosen here. And in real world significance, like some health issues and things to do with everyday finance and things like that. All right, so the takeaway here for the grandparent: when faced with overwhelming complexity, there's usually a much simpler story underneath, and this is something they would be able to relate to. And this is the PCA, the mathematical way of finding it, just like we have learned to find the essential patterns in life through decades of experience. All right, so now again, like we have all this enrichment for both the audiences. They are mostly similar with some variations. You can see the concept map is quite different for both. Here it is like very business oriented, and here it's just like in very plain language. And you can see some videos and simulations and key terms readings and all that. And similarly here also you can see the videos, YouTube, mostly all three from YouTube, and other resources for the concept. So these are all the features, and by providing a variety of these audiences and being able to generate tailored responses for the chosen audience, Prism fulfills its role to explain any concept to any audience. So I'll be glad to have your comments and feedback. Thank you very much.